Hi, I'm Rob Pritchard and I'm the sports editor at Manx Radio. As 2025 sprawls out in front of us, one of the Isle of Man's up-and-coming prospects in road racing is hoping this calendar year could be the year to kick on and take his career to another level. Douglas rider Marcus Simpson recently put pen to paper on a 2-year deal with WH Racing, which will see him race for the Newcastle-based crew in 2025 and 2026. Despite the prospect of making his debuts at the TT, Northwest 200 and Macau Grand Prix last year, it wasn't all plain sailing for him in a 2024 which, he admits, presented some tough challenges. But with a fresh mindset over the last few months and looking to the future, I've been speaking to Marcus about the move, how it came about, and what he hopes to achieve over the next 2 years.
This kind of started as a process in Macau, and I've been onto them since then through a member of the team that I met out there, and it was very much the reason that I went to Macau, apart from having a good time and doing a bit of racing, was to try and secure a team for this year, because I ran my own team last year, and I have done ever since I've started racing, and I think we just we tried to do too much. There was too many bikes, too many things, and just didn't quite have the infrastructure to go with it. So following on from that was I needed to find a team that had the infrastructure to run me at where I would like to have been at, and that's where WH Racing have come in. So very happy to have joined Stephen and Jake and the rest of the team there. And
in terms of the timing as well, January, around the time where a lot of riders and a lot of teams will be starting to prepare their own campaigns really coming up as well. So to get this done and dusted as the season is, I suppose, about to start, but call it pre-season if you like, how good is the timing as well for this to happen?
Fantastic. To know, I think the big thing on this is the 2-year deal. It came as a complete surprise to me from Josh when I was chatting to him about it, and it was more or less in the final stages of talking about it all and finalising the negotiations, and it was just all so easy. And then the 20 on one of the contracts at 25/26, and I actually had to check with him. Did that mean as in like 2025? Or I didn't want to be presumptuous, and it meant the 2 years, which is just fantastic to know that, you know, after a challenging year last year, lots learned, that I can come into this year and just go about my thing and learn my way through and almost treat it as a first TT again with a new team, a complete new environment for me. I've been very much my own boss, if you like, for the last 4 or 5 years, and now to be, you know, in a team and representing other people, in that respect, it's going to be a new challenge, and working with new people is going to be great.
And just to come back to 2024, I know we've spoken about it previously, but for those who particularly may not have heard that conversation we had at Macau in November, is you were quite open in the fact that it was quite a tough year in 2024, going into like the TT Northwest and other things besides. There were a few setbacks and a few things that you had to deal with. So, but does it feel like you're almost kind of turning over a new leaf going into 2025?
100%. Well, to be honest with you, I turned a new leaf in sort of July, August last year. And that's what led to things, you know, moving in the right direction from then. It's just been great, a great 6 months, and I'm really looking forward to the next 6 months building into the TT. I've got some exciting plans, heading to Spain in a month, and we'll get started with the new team there, and I'm just really looking forward to this year. I've got a real good feeling about it.
Targeting, you know, TT going into the rest of 2025, but outside of that, what other plans have you got at the moment?
So I'm very much a road racer. I'm not so interested in short circuits. The plan for this year is Northwest TT, Tandragee Armoy, and the Southern 100 and Macau, pending an invite back there. And obviously now there's been some discussion about things happening in the Southern Island. So yeah, I'm going to have a look at that, because I had such a great time there in 2022 and I don't really want to miss it. So yeah, we'll definitely be looking at that, but that's the way that the 2025 is looking for me right now.
And just on that thing about Southern Ireland, as we speak, there have been some maybe positive developments about events returning to Southern Ireland in 2025. So you already have experience of some of those meetings in Southern Ireland as well. What experience did you gain from them as well? And what do you think riders can gain from it should we see events coming back this year?
The racing in Northern or Southern Ireland is probably like no other. You know, the Southern 100, it's a mass start. It's kind of similar. Northwest is a mass start, but Southern Ireland, Northern Ireland, the road conditions, the nature of the roads, how narrow they are, etc., are very, very different. And Yeah, as you said, I competed in Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland in 2022. I did a full season, and it was probably the best year I've had on a motorbike. It was just fantastic. So I'm looking forward to sort of going back to, what I started with on the roads and having that crack with everybody over there.
And coming back to things here, of course, you missed out on the Southern 100 in 2024 after a little bit of an off at the TT as well. And going into this year, the likes of racing at Balham, the Southern, any of the classic races pre-TT, Manx Grand Prix, have you got any plans for those?
Yeah, 100% the Southern 100. But in terms of classic racing, probably not. I'm not so interested in it, to be honest. Yes, I'd give me the right bike, and I'm interested on it, but I think getting a hold of the right bike is hard. So in terms of that, if I was on the right bike, I'd definitely be there. I'd love to ride a 250 or something like that. Maybe I'll have to dig my own out and restore it, but right now, no real interest in classic racing right now.
Looking to more of a general note, really, on the team again. You've already mentioned about the fact that in the previous guys, you had to be, as a lot of riders have to be, very hands-on in your approach. There was a lot to manage, particularly last year as well. So what freedoms might you get with the team at WH that you may not have had and had to be hands-on previously?
Well, it's actually a question that I brought up with him when we had a meeting in Newcastle there 2 weeks ago, and I need to be told very clearly what they want me to do and what they don't want me to do, and they very clearly told me they want me to ride the bike and do nothing else. So it's fantastic for me. I've been, and as you said, as a lot of people do, and it's completely normal, that everybody, you do your own thing until you get into a position where you hopefully get an opportunity to do it this way. So I think it should just give me more time to focus on the riding, on the racing, on training, on myself, because, it's a massive thing that you're in the right place going into these events and you're not stressed about the right stickers or colours or whatever silly little things it could be going in. Have you... is the team working well and everything? That was things I had to manage last year, which really, I wanted a crew chief to sort of manage the team while I was racing, and it just didn't quite happen like that. So I think that's the biggest thing for me going into this year, is that it will just be a case of turning up, riding the bike, and having the crack with the lads, and leaving the rest of the business up to them.
So going into the rest of 2025 generally, we've already spoken about 2024, but what are the biggest lessons you learnt last year that you maybe want to take into this year to kick on?
I think one of the big things I learned last year was sort of mastering my own mind. I was probably my biggest enemy at times. And, I've had some great advice off some great people over the last 6 months. And I'm really sort of working on myself to be a better person at these events. And, I think that is probably the biggest thing that I'm going to have going into this year, is a much stronger mindset than I did last year. I think I was probably actually a little bit weak at times, and I've built up a bit of more resilience and, trying to just strengthen the mindset.
Thank you for having the stamina to make it to the end of the Manx Radio Sportscast. You're clearly someone who has their eye on the ball at all times. Want to hear more about the latest sporting news across the Isle of Man and much more? Then might I recommend you take the plunge and subscribe to this series or a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so that, in a flash, all of our finest moments take a winner's place on your smartphone. Thank you.